Hello, everybody. This is Charles Cook, managing partner at Cook Baxter. It is great to be with you again today. This is my second live back since my, let's call it, the recent unpleasantness of my health challenge. I'm all better now, which is great. The final procedure took place Monday, and I'm back to where I was. Maybe, perhaps, even better looking. I'm not really quite sure, but we'll check that one out. It today is a big day. We're doing this in English, of course. We did Spanish last week. We'll do Spanish next week. There's three things I want to talk about today. And the first is really kind of important, but only to a very small group of people. And that is because it's really about EB5s. EB5s. Very few, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, very few EB5 people out there, less than 10,000 a year get their green cards in this. But immigration just released guidance about the EB5 program. One of the biggest problems with the EB5 program has historically been that immigration taking 5 years to adjudicate a case. And as a result, the investments are made up front for many people. And by the time they are supposed to get their green card, they're done. I mean, the project's done. The investments may have even been sold at that point. They came out today and said that they're interpreting, the regional center may have even terminated for that point. They are going to use some new methods of interpretations and keep and maintain eligibility for those individuals under the Act. So this is basically what they said for pre-RIA. This is the legislation from 2022 that changed the EB5 program. It says if your program has been terminated, as we interpret the rule to apply pre-IRA investor interpreted program, regional center, rather than strictly applying timeframes, we will extend the deadline for pre-RIA investors to respond to a regional termination notification until the association immigration adjudicates their petition. We may issue requests for evidence from the individual for continued eligibility. They're going to use procedural flexibilities to extend the deadline for 180 days. When the regional is terminated for administrative non-compliance, that's not going to affect the person's basic eligibility because their job creation investment remain the same. So this is actually good to see some real flexibility coming out of the Immigration Service, because you don't always get real flexibility from the Immigration Service. That doesn't happen very often, honestly. And so congrats to those doing EB5 stuff. We do EB5s. And it's important to know that this program still is a pain in the butt to deal with. Still takes forever to get a green card, but with concurrent filing of adjustment applications for those inside the United States, the successful litigation that we won, giving a behind-the-scenes peek that they were not obeying the rules on processing cases in time and in order, are really puts the program, I think, in much better shape than it was. All right, next, I want to talk about the November Visa Bulletin. I'll put it on the ticker here, the November Visa Bulletin. November Visa Bulletin just came out, and it did exactly, on the employment-based side, exactly what I said it was going to do, which is nothing. Now, why did I say that the Visa Bulletin was going to do nothing? We can't. There are too many pending applications. So back in June, I wrote a blog called The Coming Visa Apocalypse, talking about what was going to happen in the June, July, August, and 2024, fiscal 2024 visa bulletins going forward, because especially in the EB2 and EB3 categories, because of how many labor certifications there were pending. Well, that has now come to light. EB3s for rest of the world workers for final action dates are now basically almost 2 years behind. They are about 8 months behind for filing these cases, which is not a surprise. It's going to get worse, people. If you delay more in starting your labor certification for the rest of the world, getting the I-140 filed, getting it approved, getting your adjustment hopefully filed when your PD becomes current, or now you can do that from February 2023. This is going to become years. There was a time when other workers was 15 years back when I was a young lawyer for EB3. I see EB3 becoming terrible for the rest of the world, which is one of the reasons I opposed the Eagle Act a couple of years ago, because it would have just fast forwarded the same thing. The same thing was just going to happen 2 years earlier. Now everybody's in the same boat. Now we all need to be going to Congress and saying, look, this isn't about country limits. It's not. It's about inadequate numbers. Now, country limits, get rid of them. Remember, somebody said recently, it's not a race thing. Countries aren't races for the most part. It's demand. It's supply and demand. And there was a long time that Filipinos nurses were taking a decade to come in, or Filipino other workers were taking a long time to come in. This comes and goes with our economy. But the bigger thing now is 40,000. This year, I think it's 55, 60,000, 65, something like that, aren't enough in these categories. Just not enough. We need to look at the reality of our situation. So instead of bringing in workers whose employment will not affect U.S. workers who have extraordinary ability or doing investment, we're just giving random work cards to people who just show up at the border and honestly present many of them crappy asylum cases. They just, we have to take every asylum case. Now, if the courts are doing their job, if immigration is doing their job, they would adjudicate these cases quickly, but they're not doing their job because they're not properly funded. Keep in mind, almost anybody that's come in the last 2 years is really not even hardly an immigration court. I mean, there's a 2.x million backlog in court, and that doesn't include the 4 million that have come in the last couple of years. It doesn't. It can't, because many of them don't even have NTAs, let alone that. So, and almost 1 million asylum cases. So the Visa Bulletin, I'm going to write another update article on this, where I think it's going in the future. So stay tuned to our blog here at immigration.net. I'm going to work with my friend Dan Kowalski as well, get that published. I think I'm speaking on this topic at a legal education seminar in December. But these are, I spelled November wrong. I look like an idiot. I better edit how November is spelled. You'd think there'd be a spell checker on here. That doesn't spell it either any better. November Bulletin. All right. So there we go. November Visa Bulletin. So that's the second thing I wanted to talk about. The next thing I want to talk about is USCIS statistics. I love statistics. I was a statistics major for the first part of my college years, until I had to take calculus. I hate calculus. But I still love statistics, because statistics can, there's that old saying, there's lies, damn lies in statistics. The reality is statistics do tell you a story. The USCIS came out recently with their most recent statistics on case processing numbers. How many are in each category for the end of the third fiscal year? Yeah, I know we're in the new fiscal year. It will probably be till December, if history is any guide, before we get their numbers. But there's a couple things that I think bear noting. Immigration got further behind on almost every single type of case that there is. On almost every single type of case there is. During a year when they supposedly increased the number of employees working there. They may have hired too many managers who don't work on cases. They may have too many managers, just period. For example, and I wonder if I could share the screen here with you. Let's see, let me share a screen here with you. I think this is, yeah, here we go. So we're gonna put this up on the screen here. Now that doesn't show you much because it's just such small writing, but I-130s over. These are petitions. These petitions right here. These are petitions for relatives. So these are family-based applications. At the beginning of the fiscal year, okay, the beginning of the fiscal year, immigration had about 1.8 million pending. So this year they received, through the 3 quarters, they received 690,000 cases. They approved 586, denied 43. So they completed a total of 629. So they fell another 60,000 applications behind. 60,000. They have 1.9 million unadjudicated I-130s. Remember, immigration's a Ponzi scheme. They get paid now to adjudicate cases, but the cases they're adjudicating are not the cases that they're receiving now. They're the cases they received a decade ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 months ago, or 11 months ago. It's a gigantic Ponzi scheme because management has allowed it to become such. Now, another great example here is the 601. Now, we have litigation pending on the unlawful presence waiver. And immigration so far this year has received 25,278 601A waivers. They've approved 7,100, denied almost 700, for a total of 7,853. At the beginning of the year, they had 121,000 pending cases. Now they have 138,000 pending cases. After they got sued, really, it's, to me, an unbelievable level of incompetent management. Unbelievable. The judge, we're going to tell the judge this, obviously. Look, judge, they're not only are they ignoring the litigation, they're getting worse. They're getting worse. They're putting no effort into making this done. Now, what are they working on? Are they getting caught up on anything? Well, I don't know. On the petition to remove conditions, these are for U.S. residents who got green card through marriage. That's the I-751. They received 93,000 through the first 9 months of the year and adjudicated 89. So they fell 4,000 further behind. And these are massive numbers. On the work permits, did they get caught up in work permits? Let's see. They have a lot of categories of work permits that they attract here. Under the asylum category, let's see here. They received 777,000 work permits. They did adjudicate 887,000. So they only have 360,000 asylum work permits backlogged. They got cut up by about 100,000. They had 480,000 last year. This is going to get worse, by the way, because they're going to get a lot more work permits, which is why they now make them for 5 years. So this year, as they cycle out to the 5 years, their backlogs on asylum should go away because nobody's going to be reapplying except for new applicants. Work authorizations for DACA recipients. Now, DACA recipients, which get them for 2 years, they've received 246,000. They approved 235,000. They're 140,000 behind, 5,000 more than they started the year with. Really an unbelievable amount of incompetence. Now, let's look at green card applications. For family-based green cards, they received 298,000, adjudicated 266. They have 500,000 green card pending for family-based cases. And they're all current because you can't file an adjustment unless it's current. They got further behind. They got 50,000 further behind. Unbelievable. What about employment? Now, employment's a little bit different because of the backlog situation, but they actually they received 103,000 employment-based applications for adjustment. They adjudicated 126,000, so they actually got caught up a little bit and still have 189,000 cases pending. Now, the question is, how many of those have current priority dates? We don't know. Asylum adjustments. They received 30,000, adjudicated 29. So they still have 50,000 of those pending. Now, one area where we've seen them really focus this year is asylum. They've received 600,000, naturalization. They received 600,000 naturalization applications and adjudicated 700,000. So they only have 400,000 pending. Are they all from this year? Hopefully. Most asylum applications are taking 8 to 12 months. Now, one of the things that they don't put on here, generally speaking, at least I can't find it on here, are the asylum cases. Because those are done by a unit within the USCIS, kind of reports itself differently for this. But just for example, advanced paroles, they're wasting their time doing advanced paroles, and they received 400,000 advanced paroles, only did 340,000. They have 400,000 advanced paroles still pending. That's crazy. Now, one area where they did get caught up a great deal are replacement green cards. They received 450,000 replacement green cards for this year. They adjudicated 900,000. The bad news is they still have 500,000 left. So anybody who filed this fiscal year hasn't gotten their new card because they're a year or more behind. Like the DMV, I had to renew my driver's license. I got it in the mail 3 days later, all online. But to renew your green card takes them a year. Same type of document. Crazy butt stuff. So there you have the Immigration Service level of incompetence running amok in the numbers that we see. Again, almost all evidence of terrible management. Let's take some questions here if anybody's got any. We got Anas. How are you doing? I have one question, please. I'm F2B from Predate 2016. My CIA is completed 2014. I'm from Morocco. How much time till I have an appointment? Well, for November, we've got the F2B is 2017. So you should be getting your interview in the next couple months. Really. Next couple months, you should be having your interview. Congratulations. Totally awesome. Yeah, Leah, I am feeling so much better. For those of you who don't know, I had a kidney stone that I didn't know I had. It was, kidney stones are painful, right? That's all I know about them at the time. Well, sometimes they're not. And this one got stuck between my kidney and my bladder. I didn't know. And it clogged up the whole thing. And it caused something called sepsis, which is a wildly dangerous viral infection, bacterial infection. I forget which it is. It's bad. And my wife came in one night when I was asleep. Maybe she came into bed. I was there early, and I was just acting all weird and shivering and talking gibberish. And she called 911, and I got to the hospital. They told her if you'd waited 3 or 4 more hours, you'd probably be dead. So it took me a week in ICU, another time in the hospital, and then at home recuperating for several months with lots of tubes coming out of me and kidney issues. But now, 100% healed. Miracle stuff. All power to the big guy upstairs. Do you see the filing date getting to July 2023 EB rest of the world? I don't see that happening and looking at it now, maybe by the end of the year, maybe. It's not going to move. I mean, right now the filing date is February. I don't see it getting to July from 6, 8, 10, 12 months, Abigail. It can't. They're sitting on all these adjustments, these employment-based adjustments. Now, not all of them are current, but if they're sitting on 40,000 adjustments or 60,000 adjustments, the numbers don't move. There's no reason to move the numbers if they've got them. Now, they don't break down their I-140 or their 45 numbers into categories. At least here they don't. I think it's not going to happen anytime soon. Mohammed, still waiting on Go, DV 2020, Gomez. That is for the next quarter, given USCIS, they have released 25,000 approved as of June. Well, we'll see. We'll see what they really did. Abigail, they're a model of incompetency, just a model. Update 601, you said denied like 700. Yeah, well, that's actually a 601As. They denied 700 601As, which is not unusual because the denial rate for lawyer filed 601As is like 1% or less. The denial rate for 601s filed individually is like 50%. Most are filed by lawyers. So that's probably what that doesn't surprise me at all. That's historically accurate. Abigail Hunt, the reason I asked about July 5 is they had filing date July May 1 with less green card. It's not. Keep in mind, the Department of State is who calculates the visa bulletin, but most EB numbers and adjustments are done by USCIS. And USCIS, you see these general numbers. They're supposed to be reporting more specific stuff to the state, but they don't. State is kept in the dark. I'm not going to defend state, but they're kept in the dark on a lot of this stuff too. You should listen to one of these chats with Charlie Oppenheim, works with Bernie Walsdorf, who ran the visa office, visa bulletin numbers for 30 years. He'll tell you they never got the data. He's very circumspect, but he'll tell you they never got the data. Yet the data. I don't know how they're going to get to 12 months processing in 12 months and their filing fee increase. The reality is, if Congress isn't going to give their money, they don't have enough money to operate and deal with the backlog. It doesn't exist, right? But they also don't have the ability to hire people, because who wants to work for a crappy agency? Any update on 601s? 601s, I will tell you, this year, 601s are, oddly enough, not. How are 601s not listed on here separately? I guess I better do a FOIA. There's no 601s on their list. How crazy. Was holding out some EB3 unskilled, finally jump. No, Natalie, that number's that's not gonna move for a year or two. There's a lot. There's only 10,000 a year, and a lot were filed. Great speaking to everybody today. It has been an utter joy. Keep in mind, if you need to reach me, you just call here for an appointment. You can visit our website right here, or you can email me. Here's my email. Always happy to help. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.